Graphic evidence. Here we go. What we did, we have over 100 pictures of Sister Lucy from one time or another. We divided them up into 4 categories. The A category, which is Sister Lucy as a child. The B category, which is Sister Lucy in the 1920s, 1940s, early 50s. Excuse me, that's the B category. The C category is Sister Lucy on that one day, May 13th, in 1967, when she was in Fatima. So that's subject C. Then subject D is post-1981, when John Paul II went to see her. All right, those pictures after 1981. Who did we consult? We consulted 2 board-certified plastic surgeons. We consulted periodontists. We consulted with a criminal forensic sketch artist, and I'll talk about her in a moment. And then we have an ophthalmologist. That information is released here for the first time. Okay, so what's the evidence? Expert analysis of photographs. First one, the plastic surgeon, Dr. Julio Garcia, board certified in plastic surgery by the American Board of Plastic Surgeons, a member of the American Academy of Cosmetic Surgery, a member of the American Society of Aesthetic Plastic Surgery, chief of plastic surgery at both Humana Sunrise and Valley Hospitals. He also has an art degree from Northwestern University, and he's on the American Board of Anti-Aging. I wonder what that is. Okay, we bring you his conclusion. First, he saw all the pictures, and he pointed out things to us that we didn't even see, and we had to follow up on. He says this. He never heard of this case before. He just looking at the evidence. I am of the opinion that subject B, 1940s Sister Lucy, and subject C, 1967 Sister Lucy, share some similarities, but I am very confident they are not the same individual. Finding number 1, inconsistent chin. Now I think you can see the chins, right? Same person? Same person? Come over here. Sit over here. You got to see these chins. Every single specialist goes, the chin, the chin, the chin, the chin. And nobody thinks for some reason that Sister Lucy had a chin implant. Nobody. All right? It seems a lot. Yeah. Finding inconsistent chins, visibly different chins, unexplainable except the individuals are different, or a chin implant. Subject C and D, that's 1967 and after, okay? Subject C and D have far more prominent protrusive chins when compared to the profile view of subject B on top, the real Sister Lucy. The difference cannot be explained by the aging process, nor can dental work account for the observed discrepancy. As we age, we lose fat and bone, making the appearance of the chin less prominent over time. The chin and jaw will not be altered in the manner apparent in the image and video with usual dental work. it would have to be a broken jawbones or broken facial bones. Why have they been saying it's the same person for so long? Here we go, side by side, profile view. These are the photos that the plastic surgeon picked out. Here we go again. Two Sister Lucy 2s on the bottom, and then the one Sister Lucy on the top. Now, okay, here we go. I bet you never thought about eyelid creases. Or I better put this down. Look what he says. This is quoting from his report to us. It would be very unusual to not be able to detect a crease in the upper lid when an individual is young, and then observe such a crease when that same individual ages. However, in images from the 1940s, it is nearly impossible to detect any crease in the upper eyelid. Yet, in the post-1967 photos, the upper lid crease is observable in nearly every photograph. Here we go again. You see up there is the first one. Sister Lucy 2 is on the bottom. This is 1967 over there, and this is 1999 over here. You see? Here we go again. This is, you got to really look.
Oral Surgeon Report by Dr. Joseph Mascaro, DMD. There is no good explanation, except two different individuals. Sister Lucy Truth commissioned Dr. Joseph Mascaro, DMD, a well-respected oral surgeon with over 40 years of experience, to analyze our full photo and video collections of the two Sister Lucys, and provide us with his expert opinion. Dr. Mascaro points out that not only are the profiles of the two individuals in nearly opposite condition, but these differences cannot be explained through dental work, and are caused by different skeletal structures of the face. Because of this medical fact, Dr. Mascaro concludes, "It is my opinion that Lucy 1 and Lucy 2 are not, and cannot be the same individual." These opinions are offered to a reasonable degree of medical certainty. From Dr. Mascaro's Oral Surgeon Report. After reviewing the photographic and video evidence over the course of several months, it is clear that Lucy 1, subject AB, and Lucy 2, subject CD, are not the same individual. Several anatomical facts support this conclusion, particularly when the profiles are compared. Retrognathic versus prognathic profiles. Lucy 1's mouth, teeth, tend to extend anteriorly, forward. In other words, her mouth area sticks out relative to her other facial structures. This is an underlying feature of Lucy 1's skeletal structure. This skeletal structure would not significantly change if all of her teeth were extracted and dentures worn. In contrast, Lucy 2's profile presents a nearly opposite condition, a prognathic profile with a concave appearance. Lucy 2's presents maxilla, upper jaw, protrusion, and mandibular protrusion. This protrusion is observable as Lucy 2's mandible, chin, is nearly parallel to the tip of her nose, a spot anterior to her nostril. Yet, Lucy 1's chin is recessed relative to the tip of her nose. The most anterior part of Lucy 1's chin is vertically aligned to a spot posterior to her nostril. Tooth extraction and dentures. Skeletal structure would not significantly change if all of her teeth were extracted and dentures worn. Dentures, which seem to be at least reasonably well fit, further support the conclusion that these images depict two different people. The presence of dentures would work to maintain the vertical dimension and prevent over-rotation of the mandible. With the vertical height maintained, there is no good explanation regarding Lucy 2's significant chin protrusion forward, when compared to Lucy 1. In addition, Lucy 2's facial height does not appear radically different than Lucy 1, which, again, supports the opinion that removal of all the teeth is unable to account for the marked change in profiles, particularly the mandibular protrusion. A skeletal, not dental, difference. A severely prognathic chin is skeletal, not dental in origin. Conclusion? During the course of my career, I have performed hundreds of jaw osteotomies, precisely planned fractures of the jaw to reposition the bones, and extracted thousands of teeth. I am familiar with expected changes to an individual's face as a result of tooth extraction and placement of dentures. It is my opinion that Lucy 1 and Lucy 2 are not, and cannot be the same individual. These opinions are offered to a reasonable degree of medical certainty.
Okay, plastic surgeon's report. Finding number 3. Different eyebrow distances. Some of you noticed this already. The distance between the eyebrow and eye should shorten with age, not lengthen. So this is the 1940 Sister Lucy over there, and this is the 1967 Sister Lucy, 20 years later. In Sister Lucy 2, the distance is longer. Mathematical measuring of the faces establishes ratios that show Sister Lucy 1 has a substantially shorter distance between the bottom of the brow to the upper eyelash, when compared to Lucy 2. Okay, and the mathematical measurements that we're giving you has never before been published by us, so you hear it for the first time. So you see, it gets bigger when it's supposed to get smaller. How can this be? Okay, these are the different ratios. And when it goes beyond the realm of normal standard deviation, it goes yellow and red. So here's the original Sister Lucy, and there's the statistics, the numberings for the new Sister Lucy. And you see the standard deviations way above the mean or below. .42. 6.04, 4.5, 9.98, 5.84, 5.166, 4.5, 7.8, 5.8. This is mathematics. It's not feeling, it's not theology, it's mathematics, which has implications for everything. Okay, he continues. The width of the nose of subject C and D appears wide relative to the mouth when compared to the nose and mouth of subject B. Okay, you see the wide nose of Sister Lucy 2. Mathematical measuring of the faces establishes ratios that show Sister Lucy 1 has a more narrow nose than Sister Lucy 2. When calculating the ratio of the width of the nose relative to the mouth and the interpupillary distance, width of nose is unaffected by aging or maturity. So the width of the nose doesn't change with aging or maturity. So therefore, why the mathematical differences? And here's the statistics. You can see all the red and the orange and the beyond the standard deviation. Okay, photographic anomalies. So you'll love this one. This is what Dr. Garcia pointed out to us, and we started looking into it and doing research. An unexpected insight during Dr. Garcia's analysis concerned a photograph. I'll show you it in a moment. At least one of the images appears to have been tampered with or otherwise altered. Specifically, Subject C, Exhibit 6, presents an image of Subject C, that's the 1967 Lucy, that is incompatible with the lighting present in the remainder of the image. This is what he said. This is the most famous picture from the 1967 meeting between Sister Lucy and Paul VI. This picture. And it was published on June 13th, 1967, 1 month after the event. Look in. Okay. This is perhaps the most widely published. Okay, good. That's the newspaper that it appeared in. That's the picture. Okay. That was the newspaper, the Voz de Fatima. That was the newspaper produced by the shrine at Fatima. Whoa, what happened to Sister Lucy? She isn't really there. This is the source photo. You see the man with the glasses? The photographic anomalies multiplied as the examination continued. That's an understatement. Sister Lucy, talking very closely, intimately, in a friendly way with Paul VI. All right, this huge crowd in the background. Notice this flag here, and notice the various characters. So they're talking, laughing. Guess what? Nope. Where'd you go? That's the source photo. That's the real photo. And then this photo was put out. See the flags? The same position. Listen, the man with his back turned, same position. And look, he's in exactly the same position. She wasn't there. You know how long she spent with him? 3 minutes. On that day in 1967. 3 minutes. We got another one. Whoa. Perfectly normal, right? Look at the figures. What do you think about Sister Lucy? Remember that face? Remember that picture before? It's the same one. It's the same one that was on that book. It was the same one in the yearbook. Same one near the camera. You think that looks real? Well. Oh boy. Okay. Well, there's she in front of the camera again, and they manipulate the background a little bit, you see, but she has exactly the same expression on. We still aren't sure regarding how these were made because there was no Photoshop in those days. And my friend is looking into this because clearly the face of Sister Lucy was tampered with. Okay, the eye positions are strange. They turn the image this way and that to try to make it look plausible. I'm just gonna... Then there's the floating eyebrow. Okay, here we go again. Can you see the floating eyebrow here?
Yeah.
Notice, same picture. Okay, let's get to the same picture. Oh, there she is again. Okay, here we go. There's strange things with the eyes going on. You see there's this bit of flesh right there. Okay, the forensic artist report. Lois Gibson. She's in the Guinness Book of World Records for identifying the most criminals through her sketches. She recreates faces even from skulls. All right, she is the top forensic artist in the world. And this is what she said when she did her report. She said, every one of these forensic reports is a complete confirmation of the thesis. I could have done many more. Any one of the three is conclusive. So I sense this is totally convincing. Okay, Gibson says that the two Sister Lucys have completely different facial structures, and therefore it is impossible these are the same woman. And she goes through the comparisons. And I think there's, okay, here, based on her pictures from childhood, Sister Lucy's, and from the 1940s, that's how she was supposed to look, according to this biometrics and all this. 60 makes sense. That's how she actually looked. This is how she's supposed to look at 80. This is how she looks at 84. Then we have facial recognition reports. The conclusion of it all. This is from Michigan State University, the only university that has a forensic facial recognition lab. Subjects A and B are one individual. That's the child and the 1940 Sister Lucy. C and D are very likely also the same individual. B, the real Sister Lucy, is different from subject D, the elderly Sister Lucy. Okay. And this is, he identified another facial recognition report. He identified, this one identified the Boston Marathon bombers. And he says, facial analysis strongly suggests that subject B, the real Sister Lucy, and subject C are photographs from two different individuals. Different nose lengths, different philtrum length, different eyebrow shapes, different mouth shapes. And here are all the statistics. This is his facial recognizer. Some people forget faces as soon as they see them. Some people have an extraordinary ability to remember and identify and analyze faces. Well, this woman is ranked the #1 super recognizer in Australia. She's part of a whole cutting-edge research at the University of New South Wales. And she was ranked #1 in facial recognition. She's a super recognizer. Okay? And what did she say? And she sorted the pictures herself out. She concluded that the first two were the same person, child in 1940s, and the latter two displayed a different person. And then we have the ophthalmologist. Just one more thing here. So we wanted an ophthalmologist to analyze our material. So he said, oh, okay, I have an international conference of 20 of the best ophthalmologists in the entire world coming here to New York. So I'm going to present it to them. So he presented the Sister Lucy problem to these world-class ophthalmologists. You know what strabismus is? Lazy eye, right? Lazy eye. It doesn't fix itself. Well, it ends up where the majority, the supermajority of strabismus experts said the pre-1967 Sister Lucy does have strabismus, lazy eye syndrome. You see, her right eye is deviated, her right eye. And then the other one, according to the supermajority of strabismus experts, the post-Sister Lucia does not have strabismus. And it doesn't get better with age. Okay? And medical treatments for this condition were not available during the relevant time frames applicable to Sister Lucia. Finally, handwriting evidence. Okay, we presented hundreds of pages of handwriting evidence to one of the best handwriting analysts in the world. And guess what he says? Not only the pictures, he didn't even look at the pictures, but he said all the letters, all the signatures post-1960 were forgeries. Based on the hundreds and hundreds of pages he had looked at from the 1920s, 1930s, and 1940s Sister Lucy. Okay, I want to point out, this is the third secret of Fatima. This is something I wasn't expecting to find. He says the secret released by the Vatican was authentic. Probably, in her handwriting. Probably meaning there's more to it. This is just the vision. There's probably more to it. And that's a mystery that we're not going to solve. Here's the line. Here, H's, what do? They consistently go below the line. They consistently, over and over again, go below the line, the H's. Look at here. Look at the new Sister Lucy's writings. Is that below the line? That's above the line. Is that below the line? That's on the line. Above the line. Above the line. Below. Okay, just the S's. Same S's. Book. Real Sister Lucy. Book. These are different samples. Book. Look at here. No hook. No hook. No hook. No hook. No hook. The letters from 1967, 1969, 1980 were all forgeries. In summary, but it's a clever hoax. It's a clever forgery. In summary, there are some similar strokes to the known writings of Irma Lucia that would be expected if the intent of the writer was to model or copy the writer's style of handwriting. Like all forged documents, the small micro movements and the connections of the pen often reveal details and errors that are not part of the natural writer's execution. In this case, the differences are significant and point to a different writer than the known writer Irmã Lúcia. There's her signatures. Same. That's the early one, 1940s. That's 1967, 1969. You see the differences? The loops and all that. Okay, we'll conclude this. The post-1960 writings are definitely by a different hand. These are his conclusions. A significant, noticeable discrepancy arises in 1967 and every sample thereafter. Notice the 1969 letter, forgery, demands obedience to Paul VI. Timeline of discrepancy in handwriting matches perfectly with discrepancies in the historical and photographic evidence. What is the best explanation? Another person was posing as Sister Lucy. Sherlock. When you have eliminated all which is impossible, then whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. Okay, so this is what you can do. We're not finished. We're going after documents. We're going after some more reports. And we're going to go after the DNA. I'm not supposed to say that, but don't tell anyone. It's not going to be easy. Pray for us if you can contribute to our tax-deductible effort. Please do. Let's not let this sit. This is an abomination. Let's get justice for dear Sister Lucy, because we owe her that, the true messenger of God and Our Lady. Thank you so much for your attention.